This ant walks straight toward its own death. It climbs up a blade of grass, bites down, and hangs there, waiting to die. But the most terrifying part is this. It's not making that decision itself. Something else has taken control of its brain. Sounds like science fiction, right? But this happens on Earth every single day, and the victim is a tiny ant. Today, I'm going to show you a parasitic worm that hacks an ant's brain and forces it to commit suicide for the parasite's own survival. And trust me, this story only gets stranger as it goes on. Normally, ants are incredibly organized. They search for food, they work together as a team, they avoid danger, and at the end of the day, they safely return to their colony. But some ants suddenly begin behaving very differently. During the day, they seem completely normal. Nothing appears wrong. But as the sun starts to set, everything changes. They leave the colony, slowly climb to the top of a blade of grass, then clamp down on it with their jaws and stop moving for hours, waiting to die. But the question is, why would an animal willingly walk toward its own death? The answer lies in a parasite only a few millimeters long. Its name is the Lancet Liver Fluke. It doesn't look particularly terrifying, but its plan is unbelievable because this worm needs 3 different animals to survive, and at every stage, it uses other creatures to complete its mission, almost like a video game quest. First, it lives inside the liver of a cow, sheep, or deer. There, it lays eggs. Those eggs are then released into the environment through the animal's droppings, and that's where the real game begins. The eggs lying on the ground are eaten by tiny land snails. The parasite larvae enter the snail's body. Then they rapidly multiply. The snail tries to protect itself, so it surrounds the parasites with mucus and expels them as small slime balls. Sounds like the snail won, but no. That was exactly what the parasite wanted. Ants searching for food discover these slime balls and eat them. Without realizing it, they allow the parasites to enter their bodies. And what happens next is the most horrifying part of the entire story. Most of the parasites remain inside the ant, but one special parasite travels directly to the nervous system. In other words, the ant's control room, and that's where the mind control begins. The parasite doesn't control the ant all the time, which somehow makes it even more terrifying. During the day, it allows the ant to behave normally. It gathers food, works with the colony, everything seems fine.
But when evening arrives, the parasite becomes active. Suddenly, the ant starts climbing a blade of grass, and once it reaches the top, it locks its jaws tightly around it, sometimes gripping so firmly that it cannot let go for the entire night. Think about that. An animal is being forced to do something against its own will, something that will eventually lead to its death. This is one of the closest real-life examples of zombie-like behavior ever discovered. But the parasite's true goal has not been achieved yet, because the tips of grass are a favorite food of cows and sheep. The next morning, a grazing animal arrives. It eats the grass, and along with it, swallows the ant. Game over. Or actually, for the parasite, that's when the game truly begins, because now it has reached its final destination, the animal's liver. There, it matures into an adult, reproduces, creates thousands of new eggs, and the entire cycle begins again. In other words, the ant's death was the most important step in the parasite's life cycle. Scientists have discovered something remarkable. If daytime temperatures become too high, the parasite will often allow the ant to return to normal behavior. But why? Because extreme heat could kill the ant, and if the ant dies too early, the parasite may never reach a cow's body. So, this tiny parasite doesn't just control its host, it also keeps its host alive, at least until it no longer needs it. It sounds like the plan of a supervillain, but it's real, and it has been happening on Earth for millions of years. And the most terrifying part? Until its final moments, the ant never realizes that something else is making the decisions inside his head. Is this the most terrifying mind controller in nature, or is there an even more horrifying parasite out there? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more unbelievable but completely real stories from the animal kingdom, make sure to stay tuned.